Welcome back to another video here. Today we are doing a timing belt. This time this is a beautiful VW Polo, and on the engine on this one is not the 1.5 like the one I posted just recently. This is the 1 liter. Now the similarities between the 1 liter and the 1.5 is that they are pretty much the same engine. The difference that you have is that the 1.5 will be a 4-cylinder and the 1.0 is going to be a 3-cylinder. So what does that mean for us in terms of doing the timing belt? It just means that we have a little bit more room between the engine and the chassis, because where the extra cylinder would go is a gap. So they didn't change anything to do with the mounts on the gearbox side. They've just elongated the mounts on the timing side, meaning that most likely it's going to be easier for us just to get this done. Depends on the point of view, but yeah, for us it is easier to do the 1 liter than it is the 1.5. In terms of easier, I don't mean it saves you like an extra hour by doing so. No, it's just a little bit like more flow. The work has a little bit more flow with this one than it has with the other one, but in amount of hours totally works out to be pretty much the same. So let's get cracking with this one. Let's go straight into it.
That's true, guys. Another timing belt. This time is a VW Polo, and like any other timing belt, we have to start by putting the car on the ramp and start lifting it just slightly. But while I'm doing that, let me just explain to you exactly what a timing belt does so that you can understand all the terms that I'm talking about. As you can see, this is an exploded image of the engine, and you have your components running at the bottom the crankshaft and at the top the camshafts. You can see the explosions happening, but for those explosions to happen, there has to be a timing between those valves and those pistons. If that timing is off, what's going to happen then is that the piston will come up and will collide with that valve. So if that happens, it's a very expensive problem. As you can see now, the valves will go down, collide with the pistons, and you're going to damage components. You'll damage the piston, you damage the valves. Hopefully that was good enough of an explanation for you guys to understand exactly what happens when your timing belt goes.
And now with the car on the ramp, we have to pretty much start stripping everything that is on our way to be able to get down to the belt. So for example, things like that coolant bottle is on our way, so that needs to be removed. Also, you might have to remove some pipes and some connections. So let's get started by that and go walk step by step until we can get to the belt.
Starting here by removing the connector for the level sensor for the coolant, and then removing the coolant bottle itself. Those ones are just pushing clips, so you only need to use a flat screwdriver to push them out of the way, and that way you can get your coolant bottle straight out. Straight away, the next thing we need to do is disconnect that coolant hose. So we're going to go ahead and take that T30 bolt and start looking for the pan. The reason being is because coolant is going to come out, and in the garage, if you drop any liquids on the floor and you don't collect them straight away, it starts to become messy. The floor is going to get, because you're going to start stepping on it and taking it everywhere in the garage. So we went ahead and we removed that vacuum pump there. I'm believing it's a vacuum pump. I didn't really dig into it to see what exactly it is, but that vacuum there, the pump there, needed to come out, so that's been removed also. And now is the moment I was talking about, that pan, because it's very important that we don't make a mess on the floor, otherwise it's going to get messy very, very quickly. Now with the pan underneath, we are ready to go. Here comes the clamp, the plier for clamps, and the clamp is about to get out of that pipe. We know that that's a very weird looking plier, but that's just a cable plier, so it allows you to get into more confined places, tighter places, to be able to get them clamps. So now the bottle is removed, we're going to the boost pipe. That boost pipe is sitting right on top of the engine. Again, on these type of engines, those clamps, those pipes are just connected with the plastic clips, so you can literally just pull the tabs and pull it out. You do have to be quite careful, because on this one, for example, the owner has already broken one of the clips of the pipe, so it was only holding by one side. So we advise the customer that it is best to have a look into it, but it was not that much problematic.
Right, now we've removed the boost pipe. And we also removed the coolant tank. We removed this vacuum pump here. So we are now pretty much ready to get this cover here off that is going to uncover the belt. So let's get that done, and after what we do is we'll just go underneath, remove the wheel and start stripping everything we need to strip at the bottom to be able to get to do the timing. So let's go.
We're really getting close now to the time where we can have a look at the belt. On this one here, surprise surprise, was still original, but anyway, this engine, it had 93,000 miles on the clock, and those belts, the manufacturer says 150,000 miles, I believe.
And that's your timing belt just uncovered right there. We will need the locking key to remove the wheel, and that's why it's very important when you drop your car to us or to any mechanic that you know first where your locking key is, because we will struggle a lot having to go through the whole car to find this, because without this life becomes a lot harder.
So quick explanation, why exactly do you have to change your timing belt? Well, the reason why you have to change your timing belt is because materials can only stretch so much, and what the manufacturers of those belts do is they'll put the product through a test and they'll find out exactly how many miles that's going to be able to do and how many years is going to last. Now, all of those things are done on a lab, so they'll be tested, but nothing can assure that the conditions will be the same as a lab. So it's always best to change it just slightly before the time. As seen with the wet belts, where they predicted it for quite a long time before it needed to be changed, but what we mechanics are saying is that they don't last not even half of what they say they would last. That's the reason why you need to check with real life what is exactly happening. So back into this car, we're now removing the wheel to give us access to the side of the engine, and now here you can see all my skills of karate being implied into this wheel. And after that we have to remove this shield. This shield is now coming out with a load of T20 bolts, so they will all come out so we can get that shield out, ready to expose that side of the engine. And now that we got to this stage is the time where we need to lock the engine. So, bench time!
Right, beautiful people. Now we got to a point where we need to lock the engine. And for some of you that don't know exactly what that means, I'm going to try to explain it here, and then I'll just find an animation and I'll put it across so you can try to understand. So I'll explain it to you now here, but in more detail there. This tool is a tool made specifically for this engine and for this engine family, which is all the engines that was created on the same basis. Now, these type of engines, they had a particularity of, to set up the timing, you would need a computer that was, you'd have two sensors attached to the camshafts on the back of the camshafts that will be attached, connected by cable, USB cables, into a computer, and that computer then would tell you if you are off or not. You then move the camshaft. Now, for some of you that might be a bit of what you're talking about, I'll explain that right there on the animation. For now, all you need to understand is that when you're talking about camshafts or crankshafts, anything that is a shaft, everything is talked to in degrees, because as a shaft, you can say, well, I'm at 0 degrees, I can then turn it completely 180 degrees, what we call it, or if you go another 180, making 360, you're going to have a full revolution. Now, crankshafts, they do 720 degrees, which is 2 complete turns, and the camshafts, they will do a full 360. So the camshafts will do 1 revolution for every 2 revolutions of the crankshaft, and that's the main thing you have to understand. Now, when we lock the engine, and basically what we're doing is we are putting the engine on the position where it is meant to be and locking it so that when we remove the belt, nothing is going to move out of position, because if anything moves either forwards or backwards from its original position, there is a risk of a collision between the valves and the pistons. So that's where it's very important that we keep that locked in. So with tools that will be able to lock, like this one is going to lock the crank, not allowing the crank to move. you then going to be able to lock the camshafts through a different system with the plate and having the inlet and outlet camshaft tool to lock it in place. We'll be able to lock it in. Some engines you're not going to have the possibility to lock the engine. What you have is some marks. So some cars will have timing tools like this one. Some other cars will only have marks. So you'll have a line on the block, for example, you'll have a line on the pulley, you'll have a line on the camshaft. So you'll be able to line all of those and then put it back together, and you know that everything lines up because you can visually see the lines matching with all the pulleys. Some others, like I said, with the timing tool, you just put it in, lock it, and change the belt. Again, some tools are very tricky to use, some things are tricky to use. That's why some cars are more expensive to do than others, because the risk of going wrong is a lot higher. So let's go. With everything locked, we were then able to remove the pulley. Until that engine is locked, you can't really release the pulley. Some vehicles you'll be able to, but I'll always advise that you lock your timing, because the problem is we have experience doing these day in, day out, so we know which ones have a keyway and which ones don't. Now, if you don't know what a keyway is, that's exactly the reason why you need to lock your engine first. A keyway is a little key that allows you to insert the pulley only on a specific position. That can be a crankshaft pulley like this one, can be camshaft pulleys, it can be crankshaft pulley itself, the one, not the pulley, but the gear. So if they don't have a keyway, they are what we normally call a floating pulley, because it just floats, it just spins free. There's nothing to time it. And that's where the timing tools come in place, because if you don't have them on in, you'll undo that bolt, everything will come off timing, you tied it really believing that everything is fine, crank it, and boom, the engine is gone. So bear that in mind. Timing tool first, remove pulleys after.
There you have it, guys. You hear it. The wise man said it. So now we're moving on into starting to try to get to the actual belt itself. We can see it, but we can't get it out. So we're removing the plastic cover that covers the belt on the side. Now we can see a little bit more of the belt. We're then removing the alternator, not fully, just getting it moved out of the way because it's fitted to the mount. So we need to remove that mount, so it needs to be moved out. There you go, that thing is coming out right now. It's a bit stubborn like me, but it is coming out.
Okay. Right, everything at the bottom is done now. And why do we do everything at the bottom first and not everything on the top first? We do this on this way because once there's some jacks out there, some people are gonna say, well, you can do it. I know you can. You can put those braces underneath the car that live, you can. But with what we have here, we're gonna need to now jack up the engine with a trolley jack to be able to take that engine mount off. So until now, that engine mount is still there holding the engine for us. That's why the engine hasn't fallen down. Now, once we bring it down, because everything is done, when we jack it up and take that mount off, I don't have to come down here anymore. Everything is done. I'm gonna be working from the top of the car, and I'll show you that.
And here we are removing that top mount of the engine. As you can see on this mount, it is considerably longer. The bit that stays on the engine is considerably longer because of that missing cylinder. So they just pretty much just made it longer to compensate for that cylinder. As you can see, that mount in my hands is just massive. It's just really big. Where on the 4-cylinder is a really short thing. So they pretty much use the same stuff just for quicker production and to be able to share the same chassis and same everything. That's pretty much what they do. You can see that thing is just massive. And we're now ready to start removing the timing belt, as nothing else is on the way.
And that's the timing belt.
So we're going to start by taking the tensioner. Once that tension comes out, everything just becomes easier. But now let me explain to you about parts. So bench time.
Right, back to the drawing board again here, to my bench, to my messy toolbox, whatever you want to call it. I have something else to tell you. Now that we have the timing belt completely taken out of the car and the only thing holding the gears is timing tool, right? So I was just testing you there, quiz, to see if you paid attention to the last bench time, all right? And what we're going to talk now is parts, right? Because now we've removed that, we have to find replacement parts. In terms of parts, what we tend to do is we'll work with whatever is around us that we know is good quality. So for example, we tend to work quite a lot with INA, whether it's coming from Eurocar parts, GSF, or we can also have some parts coming from Napa. We tend to choose what we know that works. So we've worked with INA for a long time. We've never had any type of issues with INA. So with us, it's a plus. We had other brands that we used that we did have some problems, brands that even other people think that they are better maybe than INA, and to be honest with you, is all down to experience. So they might have had a bad experience with INA, so their gut feeling is to not go with it. For us, because we had bad experience with others, we tend to prefer INA. It's not really even a price thing, because you know, the differences between these brands are 20, 30 pounds. So if there was a risk of having to do warranty on these jobs, because we warrant every single job, we wouldn't even take that risk at all. These ones, they're not always the cheapest. I'm pretty sure they're not the cheapest at all times. I think Dayco is cheaper in majority of the cars. But for us, they've been working very well, so we're gonna keep on using them for a long time. Now, for some other cars, Dayco. And we're going to use why? Because, for example, on Fords, that's who produces the belts for them in the first place. Now, in terms of VW, for example, we have a clear example of that right here. Now, this tensioner is a tensioner from, I can read the brand here, it's Gates. And it also has the VW badge. So why is that the case? Well, because manufacturer is not from now. They always pretty much had to choose from catalogs. Back on the day, they would literally pick up a catalog of car parts and they'll say, I want those brakes, I want that, I want those discs, I want this timing belt, I want this water pump. And then they will build the car around the parts that they found on catalogs already. Nowadays, technology is enveloped, and what they are doing is partnerships with other brands to develop their own parts. So on this case, for example, with Gates, VW would have just contacted them and saying, I'm making a new engine, I'm designing a new engine, and I'm looking to get a timing belt with these specifications and these specifications and this way. Can you do it? And they most likely said, yes, sure, because that involves also a lot of money. And the reason why I'm telling you all of this and making you go through all this roller coaster of going in and out is because I don't need to go to VW to buy Gates. I can call car part suppliers, local car part suppliers, that they will be able to provide me not the original one, not with the VW badge on it, but they will be able to supply to me Gates, which is who produces those anyway. In terms of Fords, on the Ford EcoBoost, we tend to use Dayco. Now, Dayco is who makes the belts for them on the first place. So that's what we use them. So we tend to look for what the manufacturer is looking, and we try to find a matching. If we can, we'll buy the same brand that they are using. If not, INA is our choice. Again, just personal experience, you know. I don't want the other brands to take it personally. If they want to show us that is not the case, or they want to say something, I'm open to hear it. But so far for us, INA has been the least of the problems, just smooth sailing every single time. So again, end of bench time for now. So let's get back into the car and let's keep putting this belt together. There you have it, INA timing belt kit with a tensioner and with the idler pulley, everything brand new. And
Now, in regards to putting everything back, it's just going to be a very quick speed on the footage, because it's pretty much just going to put back what we took out. So the bracket on the engine for the mount, that's already put back. You can see the mount is going to go in now. That gets tied. Now, that's the first step, because you have the instability of the engine not being bolted. That is not the nicest thing. So mount is the first thing. That's what you're looking for. So there you go. That's in. We're now going to lift the car and work at the bottom of the engine. So bottom of the engine, you're going to have timing cover. That's going to go back in. You're going to have also the alternator that needs to go back in. That needs to be pushed in, tied in place. There you go. You're going to have the tensioner that needs to go back in. That's 2 M10 bolts. They're going to go back in. You're going to tie it fully, and then you're going to slap the belt, and you're going to release that pin that you put on there to let that tensioner go. So the pulley goes in, tensioner is released. You can then put the splash guard on the wheel arch, just putting those T30 bolts. Once you are done with that, you can then put the wheel back on it. So you get the wheel put in there, you'll put your bolts, just snug them in with the gun, and then just torque it. That's what you want to see ideally, and we're going to be doing that right now. Now at the top of the engine, we're going to start by putting all the brackets that we removed, all the little connections that we removed, everything, all the little parts. They all need to go back in. They're all important. They all have their places.
And now this is the moment of truth, the moment where if I've done anything wrong, it's gonna show up now. If I've put that timing or I've let that timing slip, that engine is gone. If it's not gone, I can get engine light come on. With this engine, it's very sensitive. So hopefully everything is correct. Let's try it. Moment of truth. So let's get inside of the car now. Let's go. Okay, and okay, ignition is on, and here it goes. Moment of truth. There you go. The airbag fault there is because the customer is doing some renovations, so there's no seats, no plastics. But in regards to the engine, it's running. So there you go. That's another timing belt done. And that's me just taking you through the insides of what exactly it takes for us to do this timing belt in particular. I'll do some more videos like I've done so many on the Ford EcoBoosts and on the Peugeot PureTex, the wet belts, Ford Transit wet belts, timing chains on Range Rovers and Evoques and the Jaguars, like we have one right there now. You can see that done. That one there is for timing chain. I didn't record a video on that one, but there's more to come anyway, so we'll be able to record that. All right, this was another car done. The engine is running. I'll turn it off so I can speak to you. This was the 1 liter VW engine that we just done timing belt, that we've done this incredible video that, you know, I really enjoy doing video for you guys, and I enjoy explaining kind of like the overall process